And we are up and running. It is an astonishing week unfolding here in the Midwest, 60s and 50s for the highs, and blue skies and balmy, although I think rain is coming in this evening. But for February, it's like, wow, this is somewhat unprecedented in my lifetime, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened before. So whatever happens is just a happening, and that's, I think, the important thing we all have to accept is that ultimately all of this is meaningless. So how meaningless is your day starting out there, Stephen?
Oh, it's as meaningless as I can possibly make it.
Good.
No, it's a really nice day here so far. I kind of feel like I don't even know how to follow up on that statement, to be honest.
Well, we do like to have our attachments. You know, we walk around in this realm with duct tape, and we attach things to us and try to give them meaning and purpose. And then you encounter A Course in Miracles, and of course you are confronted with that beautiful lesson that's in the early stages of the workbook, that my meaningless thoughts are creating a meaningless world. So that's what we're trying to step above and beyond as we study the Course.
Yeah, and in the very first lesson that says nothing I see means anything. I met someone recently who's a friend of our family, and he said, you know, he was just pretty much living that first lesson. He didn't feel like he needed to take it any further after that. For now, he was just going to focus on knowing that nothing he sees means anything. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's actually pretty profound, because you know, it really is the beginning of liberation. That's the thing that the Course is designed to do, is to get us to the point where we no longer are a victim of our own machinations in this world. So that's quite beautiful. And we are working on that idea of the guiltless world as defined in chapter 13 in A Course in Miracles. And that's, you know, the goal is to see all of our guilt and shame as having been completely invalid and unnecessary. And we're in chapter 6, Finding the Present. So, and there is definitely that, you know, illusion of finding the present within the present, because the present can be a gift. So do you feel like starting us off this morning, Stephen?
Yeah, sure. So it says, to perceive truly is to be aware of all reality through the awareness of your own. But for this, no illusions can rise to meet your sight, for reality leaves no room for any error. This means that you perceive a brother only as you see him now. His past has no reality in the present, so you cannot see it. Your past reactions to him are also not there, and if it is to them that you react, you see but an image of him that you made and cherish instead of him. In your questioning of illusions, ask yourself if it is really sane to perceive what was as now. If you remember the past as you look upon your brother, you will be unable to perceive the reality that is now.
Yeah, that is a really beautiful way to address our lives in general. You know, if you can, and a lot of different cultures have this theme in kind of those inner wisdom schools, in those regions within the spiritual philosophical imagery and ideology of tribal cultures, especially all around the world. But you see it in Asia and parts of Europe and North America, and South America too, for that matter. But it's that idea of every time I walk away from you, I am going to completely and totally forget you and everything that happened, so that the next time we have an encounter, I can see you as you are, not as I thought you were or as I believed you were.
Mm. Yeah, I love how it's talked about in the course how time is perceived as this linear process that happens, but it really is unnatural that that's happening, and it's actually our own minds and our decision to make time linear that makes it that way. It's not, doesn't have to be that way, and so it's always like clicking that refresh button whenever we encounter the moment.
Absolutely, yes. And that is what leads us to our prejudices and our grievances with people, is that we have that attachment to the past with the anticipation of the future holding the same experience, the same situation. And it degenerates from that point very, very rapidly here.
Mm-hmm.
So going on to the next paragraph, it says, you consider it natural to use your past experience as a reference point from which to judge the present. Yet this is unnatural because it is delusional. When you have learned to look on everyone with no reference at all to the past, either his or yours, as you perceive it, you will be able to learn from what you see now. For the past can cast no shadow to darken the present, unless you are afraid of the light. And only if you are would you choose to bring darkness with you, and by holding it in your mind, see it as a dark cloud that shrouds your brothers and conceals their reality from your sight. So we are right now looking at how to clear our cache, as it were, get our browsers up to speed and see the Christ in everyone we encounter. And the only way that that can be done is by eliminating the memories that you carry. And there's always going to be shadowy memories that the mind wants to hold on to, but by consciously affirming whenever you are encountering somebody that this is a new experience, you can slowly seduce your mind back into that place where it can accept that idea without conflict and without resistance.
Yeah, it also looks as though there's a really natural filtration in our minds where, your mind will just naturally refresh itself unless we have some sort of thought that we need to hold on to something, or that we need to hide one of our memories and bring that into our interactions. So I guess that what I'm saying is that it's really natural to just live in the moment and to live in that light of awareness that we share. But what's unnatural is holding on to the darkness.
Yeah, it means we're holding on to either an expectation that was not fulfilled, or to an imaginary pain that was given to us by an individual. So really, once again, the Course brilliantly brings things right back around to our own doorstep. All of your grievances are in reality things that you created so that you would have a reason to have a grievance. And as soon as we're honest enough to accept that idea, all of a sudden the world we inhabit starts to take on a whole different tone, because in literal truth, you will notice that the conflicting experiences start to diminish. You'll notice that you're out there moving through the world, and it's a much more peaceful world. So as soon as you can confront your own fears and your anxiety and your anticipation of things going south on you in situations involving other people, that's when you start to actually see a new circle, or even an old circle, go through a transformation, because the Course does actually give you results. That's one of the things that I have been very much aware of in the last couple of years, as I'm seeing my world transformed into a much more gentle and accommodating world.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's through that. I think it's actually in the Bible that the idea of transforming your mind, letting the Holy Spirit transform your mind into being more and more open to the real world, to the world of gentleness and the forgiving world. So,
Yes.
on to the next paragraph. It says, "This darkness is in you. The Christ, as revealed to you now, has no past, for he is changeless, and in his changelessness lies your release. For if he is as he was created, there is no guilt in him. No cloud of guilt has risen to obscure him, and he stands revealed in everyone you meet because you see him through himself. To be born again is to let the past go and look without condemnation upon the present. The cloud that obscures God's Son to you is the past. And if you would have it past and gone, you must see it. You must not see it now. If you see it now in your illusions, it has not gone from you, although it is not there." So there's that idea at the end, how like you're saying that it's not really that darkness of the past is still there, but if you hold on to it, it'll still be there for you in your mind.
Yes, it's the ongoing paradox of having to make the adjustments to be able to live in both worlds. When we start to go down that journey to awakening, all of our old beliefs and all of our old routines are in conflict all of a sudden, and it creates multiple paradoxes, so that we end up having to learn how to laugh. Either that, or you're going to be sobbing in your corner of the room consistently.
Yeah, it's sort of like the rabbit hole takes on this multi-dimensional nature, where I think it's that step towards coming back to reality, where we start to see, wait a second, I'm not really trapped in this.
Exactly.
Huh.
And this is a beautiful reiteration of that statement that Jesus had made in the Bible, in that whenever you feed or nurture or succor someone in the material world, whatever good things you do to the people that you encounter, you're doing it to Jesus. And he was very clear in stating that there are no deeds that you do when you're reaching out and acting with compassion or with awareness to those around you, that the Christ and the Holy Spirit are unaware of. And the big thing is to make you aware of the power of your deeds and your thoughts.
Yeah, I love how much Jesus talked about that, like agape love, that was that more of that unconditional kind of love. It didn't have to be between certain roles, between special relationships, like between partners, or that could be business partners or husband and wife, or kids and parents. He was talking about like letting that unconditional love flow through to everyone.
Yeah, it's the highest form of love, the love that has no bargaining power. And that's unfortunately what we're inclined to do, is we demand a pound of love for every pound of love we give out. And that flips back into that idea of the money changers in the temple, because I don't literally take that story as Jesus having a meltdown. But I think that the story was kept in the New Testament simply because it does give us that awareness that our love for God and our love for each other is not something that we can put a price tag on. And we do have to get to a point where we're comfortable with that.
Right. I mean, if you're always giving to yourself, then why do you need to have something returned to you? I mean, the gift is in the giving.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, in this next section, it says, time can release as well as imprison, depending on whose interpretation of it you use. Past, present, and future are not continuous unless you force continuity on them. You can perceive them as continuous and make them so for you, but do not be deceived and then believe that this is how it is. For to believe reality is what you would have it be according to your use for it is delusional. You would destroy time's continuity by breaking it into past, present, and future for your own purposes. You would anticipate the future on the basis of your past experience and plan for it accordingly. Yet by doing so, you are aligning past and future and not allowing the miracle, which could intervene between them, to free you to be born again. So once again, we're drawn back to that concept of being present-minded, of living in the here and now as the key to release from that often touted word, karma.
Yeah, and I think that there are so many ideas, such as karma, or things that are in this world, which is in our minds, that try to tempt us back out of the present moment. They try to bring us into the realm of pasts and the future, and worry about the future, or anxiety about what happened in the past. All these different variations, but the goal is really to just focus in on the present moment where we're currently living, and know that's all it really is.
Exactly. And within the present moment, there is the awareness of your eternal nature, your divine nature, the Christ within. You cannot step into the present moment and not feel that connection to all of eternity encapsulated in that idea of the Christ. So that shows you how much time you spend projecting yourself either into the past or into the future during the course of the day. How much stillness do you actually experience?
Yeah, and then on to the next paragraph, the miracle, right?
Yes.
The miracle enables you to see your brother without his past, and so perceive him as born again. His errors are all past, and by perceiving him without them, you are releasing him. And again, I feel like, we're talking to ourself here. We're talking about releasing ourself. And since his past is yours, you share in this release. Let no dark cloud out of your past obscure him from you, for truth lies only in the present, and you will find it if you seek it there. You have looked for it where it is not, and therefore have not found it. Learn then to seek it where it is, and it will dawn on your eyes that see. Dawn on eyes that see. Your past was made in anger, and if you use it to attack the present, you will not see the freedom that the present holds. I love how he just goes right, he doesn't mince words, and he's really direct about saying that, your past, if you have a past and it was made in anger, that's why we hold on to things from the past. But he also talks about how the Holy Spirit will purify all things that we experience into loving memories as well.
Right. And that again reinforces that idea that the only reason that you're feeling the sting of a wound from the past is because you're re-experiencing that horrible, miserable situation over and over again in your own mind. So the truth is that forgiveness is the most powerful tool that is given to us, but we have to see the value of forgiveness for ourselves. If you're thinking, oh, I have to forgive this guy down the street because he, ran over my dog, poor me, then then it's pointless. And the forgiveness work you're doing has absolutely no effect on the situation. You have to realize that all of the things that you created were created in your mind. And you are not the victim of the guy down the street or anybody else. So you really do have to be willing to let go in the most extreme way in order to have the healing occur.
I kind of feel like mentioning, because we talked about the two emotions in our last video, a lot of times when there's that strong belief held that someone really did something to us, and we still feel the charge emotionally around them doing it, it it really comes from training the belief first. So like if we can withdraw the belief that even happened, that was a real incident that happened outside of our mind, and remember that the reality, then the emotion always follows our belief. So that should release the charge around it too, by training our mind
Yes,
first, is what I'm saying.
exactly. Yeah. It's again, it's that whole idea of victimhood. We want to hold on to victimhood because it is a way for us to validate our own attacks on those around us. So as long as you can create some kind of rationale in your own mind for striking, then then it becomes pointless for you to have that aggressive intention toward somebody, that inhabits your world with you.
And then the
So we
ego.
really have to be able to, yeah, we really have to be able to surrender that inclination. Well, the next section here says, judgment and condemnation are behind you. And unless you bring them with you, you will see that you are free of them. Look lovingly upon the present, for it holds the only things that are forever true. All healing lies within it because its continuity is real. It extends to all aspects of the sonship at the same time, and thus enables them to reach each other. The present is before time was, and will be when time is no more. In it are all things that are eternal, and they are one. Their continuity is timeless, and their communication is unbroken, for they are not separated by the past. Only the past can separate, and it is nowhere. So, once again, we're being bombarded with that idea that all of this is an illusion. It is something that seemingly occurs, but it has no truth in it, because that which is true is eternal. So thank God that all of your wounds and sorrows and fears and angst are not of that nature. They are not eternal. And the faster you step into your own eternality, the faster you will be able to heal, resolve, and transform.
I feel like it's a lot like waking up, or like just taking a big breath of fresh air after being living in the water your whole life. It's very much like that, I think, in a way, to wake up to the present moment and to see everything with those fresh eyes, and see that really everything that I think I know about the physical world is happening in my mind. So if I can just let go of that for an instant, then that's the holy instant.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is redemptive. It does have the power to heal. And that's the incentive. Why would you want to be crippled when you can step up and move around on your own, when you can feel the liberation of letting go of these misperceptions of who you are and what the past is?
Mm-hmm. And so the next paragraph says, the present offers you your brothers in the light that would unite you with them and free you from the past. Would you then hold the past against them? For if you do, you are choosing to remain in the darkness that is not there, and refusing to accept the light that is offered you. For the light of perfect vision is freely given as it is freely received, and can be accepted only without limit. In this one, still dimension of time that does not change, and where there is no sight of what you were, you look at Christ and call his witnesses to shine on you, because you called them forth. And they will not deny the truth in you, because you looked for it in them and found it there. And I love how simple the solution that is given in the course is just simply look for it. Just be willing to see the Christ, and you will see it.
Yes, to drop your prejudice. And, most of our prejudices are built on fear. And we're seeing a lot of that right now. The fear of minorities, the fear of people from across the seas, the fear of this, the fear of that. Big pharma, we're afraid of that. Chemtrails, we're afraid of that. And, if you're living in that realm, if you're engaged in that world, you're getting assaulted from every direction 24 hours a day. And stepping into the course, we all of a sudden discover that it's like this miraculous oasis where the water is bubbling up from the ground are cool, and the date trees are laden with sweet delights, and that's the whole point, is to get to that point where we recognize that we're living in an oasis surrounded by an ocean of fear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if we can just start to see only that oasis, if we can just let go more and more of the fear, then I think we start to see reality.
Yes. This next paragraph says, now is a time of salvation, for now is a release from time. Reach out to all your brothers and touch them with the touch of Christ. In timeless union with them is your continuity, unbroken because it is wholly shared. God's guiltless Son is only light. There is no darkness in him anywhere, for he is whole. Call all your brothers to witness to his wholeness, as I am calling you to join with me. Each voice has a part in the song of redemption, the hymn of gladness and thanksgiving, for the light to the Creator of light. The holy light that shines forth from God's Son is the witness that his light is of his Father. And in other passages in the Course, we're told to look for the great rays. Eventually we'll arrive at that point where we'll see everybody emitting these great rays, these beams of light. And that is something that I've been living in anticipation of. I recognize that that may not be quite as principled, having an anticipation, but I do look forward to being able to see those visions of light streaming from every encounter I have with my fellow man, and that is definitely an attainable goal.
Right, and that's the fascinating thing is that that's closer to the reality of what's happening than even seeing the dense form of even looking at physical bodies. That light is more in alignment with who we actually are than the bodies are, infinitely so.
Yes, yeah, that's the eternal light. So the body is always going to be corrupted one way or another.
Yes. So, and you want to keep going with this one, Chris?
Sure. Second paragraph here says, shine on your brothers in remembrance of your Creator, for you will remember him as you call forth the witnesses to his creation. So again, we're encouraged to see the Christ in others in order to perceive it in ourselves. Those whom you heal bear witness to your healing, for in their wholeness you will see your own. And as your hymns of praise and gladness rise to your Creator, he will return your thanks in his clear answer to your call. For it can never be that his Son called upon him and remained unanswered. His call to you is but your call to him, and in him you are answered by his peace. And that last little sentence is so, so powerful, because whenever we get into that place of surrender and get into that place of non-judgment, you will experience that deep sense of inner peace. And that's the place you want to go back to over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's so awesome to start to comprehend exactly what God is all about. And it's not something we comprehend intellectually. It's something that we experience. It's a stillness and a peace that we experience. And I feel like when we think of the word, it's like when you think of the word God, it can never possibly compare to the actual experience that you'll have from God.
Yeah, the word is packaging, and you can't put a package around infinity. So, and that was one of the biggest problems with organized religion, is that they're trying to package something that's palatable for their particular sect of people, and then they get remuneration for that every Sunday. Everybody shows up and throws money at them, and keeps the world rolling forward.
Mm-hmm. And so going on, the next paragraph, it says, child of light, you know not that the light is in you, yet you will find it through its witnesses. For having given light to them, they will return it. Each one you see in light brings your light closer to your awareness. Love always leads to love. The sick who ask for love are grateful for it, and in their joy they shine with holy thanks. And this they offer you who gave them joy. They are your guides to joy, for having received it of you, they would keep it. You have established them as guides to peace, for you have made it manifest in them, and seeing it, its beauty calls you home. And it's a really great reminder to know that, in our mighty companions, which is what the Course calls our brothers and sisters, the people that are around us, the people we see in our life. Those are the people who are guiding us back home to ourselves by seeing the Christ in them.
Yes. So, and we've got a field full of crops here. I mean, we've got politicians and religious leaders and corporate heads and people down the street who have a different color, skin type. So we have got multiple opportunities to get past all of our fear and loathing and start to see the beauty within ourselves as well as those around us.
You want to keep going? You want to finish this section today?
Yeah, we might as well finish it up. We're probably running a little bit over time, but this is a pretty juicy section. So,
do you want to take?
Yeah, I'll take this next one. There is a light that this world cannot give. You can give it as it was given to you. And as you give it, it shines forth to call you from the world and follow it. For this light will attract you as nothing in this world can do. And you will lay aside the world and find another. This other world is bright with love, which you have given it. And here will everything remind you of your Father and his Holy Son. Light is unlimited and spreads across this world in quiet joy. All those you brought with you will shine on you, and you will shine on them in gratitude because they brought you here. Your light will join with theirs in power so compelling that it will draw the others out of darkness as you look on them. So, boy, is that ever a powerful reason to continue to press forward with looking past all of the appearances of the ego and just allowing that revelation to be presented to us. Because if we call upon the Holy Spirit, to open our eyes, to clear our sight, then we will begin to see people for who they actually are and not for who we believe they are.
Yeah, I think back to Jesus and how masterful he was at this process, and it really is in the present, and how there are the stories about him and him working miracles. Like he was just always looking past that that mental image that someone was sick or that someone had something wrong with them, and chose to look past and see really himself in everyone, see the Christ in everyone, and just, you know, like with Lazarus, he said, just come forth, Lazarus.
Absolutely. And to get your ass out of that grave and climb back out and step into the light.
Right. I'm not believing the story that you're dead.
So the next paragraph, you want to finish that up?
Sure. Awaking unto Christ is following the laws of love of your free will, and out of quiet recognition of the truth in them. The attraction of light must draw you willingly, and willingness is signified by giving. Those who accept love of you become your willing witnesses to the love you gave them, and it is they who hold it out to you. In sleep you are alone, and your awareness is narrowed to yourself, and that is why the nightmares come. You dream of isolation because your eyes are closed. You do not see your brothers, and in the darkness you cannot look upon the light you gave to them.
Yeah, that's again, you know, putting it out there very clearly. There's no ambiguities. He's just saying, you know, it is a decision. Are you going to do it or not? And if you do elect to do it, then be prepared for the rewards.
And then I want to finish this last paragraph.
Yeah, it says, and yet the laws of love are not suspended because you sleep, and you have followed them through all your nightmares and have been faithful in your giving, for you are not alone. Even in sleep has Christ protected you, ensuring the real world for you when you awake. In your name he has given for you and given you the gifts he gave. God's Son is still as loving as his Father. Continuous with his Father, he has no past apart from him. So he has never ceased to be his Father's witness and his own. Although he slept, Christ's vision did not leave him. And so it is that he can call unto himself the witness that teach him that he never slept. So again, we are directed to looking at that element of time and stepping out of that belief of the shadowy images of the past and staying present-minded, staying here in this moment, and for you know, resisting the temptation to put that shackle on those around us of karma of the past. As soon as we can get beyond that inclination and that desire to punish, then we begin to realize who we actually are and come to a much higher way of life.
Something that often comes to me is that idea that it's just a story. And so it's just like, just no matter how compelling the story might seem, if you can keep coming back to the reality of who you are and remember that more consistently, then you realize that, like the last line of that paragraph you just read, that really you never slept. You were never actually asleep because it never held reality for you. So the story was never real.
Right. You were never corrupted, and neither was anybody else. And, you know, that is the whole point of this journey we're on, is to escape the illusion of being on a journey.
I think
so that's back to the eternal paradox.
yeah. And I think it also comes to that idea of Joseph Campbell talks a lot about myth, mythology, and like noticing the myth archetypes in the world and in our personal lives and everything. And I think that's a cool way of understanding the context of the world and how we're always looking at a sort of fictional myth that we're living in.
Yes, and the Course addresses that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a different part of the Course, we look at that idea of the hero of the dream. And we're always the hero of the dream. We're out there conquering the evil that exists around us. And in truth, we are children having a hallucinatory experience with dragons made out of puffs of smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's something to remember in the world of polarities and dualities, that if you believe you're a hero, then you're also the villain.
Yep, absolutely. And ultimately the victim.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stephen, next week we're looking at the attainment of the real world. Now, this is where things are really starting to kind of amp up, because we've been looking at all the different aspects of disassembling our attachment to the world that we believe we made up. And now we're going to have that veil removed and start looking at the attainment of the real world.
Yeah, you picked a really good chapter for us to read.
Well, I will see you in 7 days, and hopefully by that time you will have forgiven everybody that that has offended you, so that you're going through the world cutting the chains that we attach to others as well as ourselves.
Yeah, and for me, I just remember that really it's already done. I just have to see it.
That's right. It's already over. Well, mi amigo, I'll see you in 1 week.
All right, I'll see you later, Chris. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.